Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel / podcast, wherever you're hearing or watching this. I am Alexis, your host at This Tiny Journey, and welcome back to my page. I know that it's totally been a minute since I've done a video, which I say every video, right? Because it's always been a minute. But life kind of just keeps getting busy on me, so I do it when I can. And when it's not too stressful for me. And wait for the bike to go back. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but like a bike is going by and I have my windows open, so it's a little loud. Today I wanted to talk about tiny living with a toddler, and I actually can't believe I haven't already talked about this, because it's one of the questions. It's one of the questions I get a lot, and I think it's one of the more underrepresented, parts of tiny house living, right? So we always show the really cool Instagram pictures, the fun family, woo, look at us. But no one really sits down and say okay, but what the fuck is it like living tiny with a kid? I'm specifically going to touch on the toddler aspect of it because I don't have any child older than 2, and so that's kind of where my experience is, but I'm sure this can apply to all kids, and I feel like it just gets a little bit easier as they get older, because they're not throwing things around still. So let's get into it. I'm gonna nobody watch me. I'm gonna clean my glasses real quick because it's a glare and it's bothering me. Don't do this at home, right? Go to your eye doctor. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, this is your first time ever being here. I live in my tiny house, my 26-foot tiny house by 8.5 feet, with my 2-year-old daughter, Boss Baby. She's a boss. She knows it. Everybody knows it. This is her world. I'm just living in it. And we have been living tiny. So I've been living tiny for 3 years. She has obviously only been living tiny for 2 years. And I didn't spend a lot of the newborn stage here. I think I spent a month and a half with her as a newborn in the tiny house before me and my ex split up, and then I ended up living with my dad just for a little bit because new baby and I didn't want to do it all by myself. But I still made that work. Living tiny with a newborn, I could still talk about a little bit, but not too much. So if that's something that you're interested in hearing, I could definitely make a video on that from my experience. I just might make one anyways because 1.5 months is better than 0 months. So yeah, but this time it's just gonna be specifically toddler. So I want to say me and Boss moved back into this house when she was around between 9 and 10 months, I want to say. She was now learning how to walk, so she finished learning how to walk in the tiny house. It was so cute. I think I actually have a video of it. And we also potty trained in the tiny house, so that was fun. Weaned in the tiny house. We did it all in the tiny house, obviously. So I guess I'll start with just the big, what is it actually like to live in a tiny house with a toddler? It's pretty much hell. If I'm gonna be completely fucking honest, and I always am, it's hell. Living with a toddler will always be hell because they're learning how to explore the world. We're learning how to be a parent to a toddler. This is your second merry-go-round, but this is my first, so it's pretty much hell. And my house is always a mess, never clean. I don't care how clean of a person you are or how little things you have in your home. If you live tiny with a kid, your house is going to be a mess, always. And I used to, in the beginning, when I was still trying to find my identity, I legit used to clean up after her. So every mess she would make when she was done, I'd clean it up and then wait for her to do the next one, clean up, because I thought that my house had to be clean. I'm a mom now. If my house is not clean, then I'm going to jail. It's a TikTok sound. But so I had that mindset. But what I found was that I spent almost all of our day cleaning, just cleaning over and over and over again, and it was making me very, very unhappy. And it's one thing in my life that I refuse to ever be again is unhappy. And I don't mean that in oh, it's a sad day. I mean I will never be in a position or do things that make me unhappy, and fucking cleaning up after my toddler all the time made me unhappy. And so I don't do that anymore. So the house is a mess because she's got toys. And I don't know if you watched my last video, I don't have a lot of toys for Boss. She's got a couple of things, but nothing compared to a child that lives in a traditional home. I did that on purpose. I don't want her to have a lot of toys because, one, there's no space for it, and two, I don't really want to clean it. But I still want her to have toys for developmental sakes. So she's got toys, she's got like a dollhouse, and then my aunt got her this cute like little kitchen set, so we've got them, and they're in the smack dab in the middle of the living room because they're big pieces and there's nowhere else for them to fit where she can easily access it, right? And I didn't want to put it up in the loft, that was another option, but I don't really want a random ass kitchen in my loft, you know? So they're downstairs. And I have to be okay with having toys in an open area like my living room, being able to having to see it every day, letting her play with it every day. I have to be okay with that. If you're not okay with your kid making mess or you being able to see the mess at all times, tiny living with a toddler is not going to be very enjoyable for you because their toys are going to be out and seen, especially if they don't have small ones. So be prepared for a mess all the time, no matter how clean you are. Be prepared for there to be toys in your house, especially if you've got bigger toys, right? Because it's not fair to boss to be like, oh, well, you can't have this really fun kitchen because it can't fit in our house. Because that's not true. It can't fit in our house. You just have a specific aesthetic that you want, and not you, obviously. And that house doesn't fit into that aesthetic, and that's just really not cool. Another option is to, have the bigger toys outside, which is something that we kind of do. Like, she has her outside toys, but I didn't want the kitchen outside because it rains in Florida, y'all. It is a rainy season over here. I don't want the rain to get all it, and then I don't clean it, then it gets all dirty and disgusting because it's not like a mud kitchen or anything. So, yeah. Toys, mess, kitchen. Be prepared. I feel like there was something else I was going to say about that, but I forgot. I remember now. Another thing about living tiny with kids and a toddler is that your living room equals your playroom equals your office if you live from home. Obviously, if you got a second loft and fun things like that and a partner, then, you can have your office space somewhere else. But when I work from home with Boss, I gotta work from the living room, which is also Boss's playroom. And it's not like I can kick her out and be like, well, no, Boss, you can't play here. It's the fucking living room, right? If I want to relax after a long day of work or just relaxing on the weekend and I want to watch a nice fun movie, the living room is also the playroom. So, as you can imagine, I don't even like subtitles, but I pretty much watch everything with subtitles because I can't hear a damn thing. So he's like, oh, blah, 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 clink, 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 clink. All over the fucking place, all over the place. And so if you're somebody that's just really like, that is not your thing, like you do not like to be interrupted while you're watching TV or reading or anything like that, tiny living with a toddler might be a little hard for you. And these are totally things that all obviously happen in like a larger house too. But I think with a larger house, it's a bit different in the sense that you still have more space, right? So she's 2 years old now, and if we were in a larger house, I would be totally okay with her being in like a toy room by herself with the door open because I know there's not anything dangerous in the toy room, hopefully. And I can be out in the living room as long as I can keep an eye on her and I can do my own thing. I can't do that here, y'all. I can't do that here. We're all in the same place. The same place. My only reprieve is to like watch movies after she goes to sleep, which I do frequently. Like, her bedtime is 10, 11 o'clock. I don't want to hear anything about it. Ain't your kid, don't worry about it. And so after she goes to bed on the weekends, and I'm like, yes, finally. And I'll put my movie on. But then the caveat to that is, if I've got her on like the couch with me, then she's usually pretty fine. She'll like sleep through it because she'll like, wake up and cuddle me in the middle of the night and she'll stay. But if I move her up to the second loft because sometimes I just do, because I don't want the light to bother her or something, then she'll wake up. Sometimes she'll wake up and then she'll come downstairs or I gotta go get her. So that's another thing. You can't really do stuff. You can't really do stuff after they go to bed. Like, I can't clean after she goes to bed. I don't even bother trying because she'll wake up. She can hear every freaking thing. In the morning when I want like just me alone time, I have to be like the silentest ninja ever because I don't want to wake her up before I'm done having my cup of coffee, which I don't drink coffee anymore, so it's like my cup of hot cocoa in the morning or my tea. So those are things to keep in consideration. I also think it's really different for me, right? Because I'm a single mom. So when you have a partner, it could be a bit different. The dynamics are different. Like if me and her dad were still together and he was here, then I could maybe watch TV in my room while he played with her, or read in my room while he played with her. And then, you could feel that kind of separation where you're like, okay, I'm doing adult things just for me, and the baby's in her own separate little place. But nah, I don't have that here. So we're all just in fucking one. Just one. So that's pretty much how like the toy and the mess goes. Potty training. This is no order, by the way. I wish I'd wrote this down so there was some sort of like, direction this was going, but I'm freestyling it, yo. This is why you have no friends. Anyways, potty training in the tiny house. My house smelled like pee for a very, very long time, I will admit. So I read that book, Oh Crap, Potty Training. It's fucking wonderful. I totally recommend it. And so we did that whole method, like, okay, baby's running around house naked for like a day to a week. Weeks. And basically peeing everywhere. And it felt like she was peeing everywhere because she was peeing everywhere, right? My house is only so big. She'd pee one place, move, pee another place, pee another place. So my house is my pee. Right now, her little porta potty thingy is in the living room. I put it in the bathroom, but she didn't want it there. She wanted it in the living room, so that's where it's at. So if you're not comfortable having, a baby's porta potty in your living room smelling like piss, or like she's taking a dump in the living room and you're just trying to live your best life, but you're just smelling like shit. If you don't like that, tiny living with a toddler might be a bit hard for you, unless you can convince your kid to leave it in the bathroom and to sit there. But I don't think she likes to be alone in there, and the bathroom isn't like big enough for both of us to chill in there. And so that brings me to another big point, because when I designed my house, I designed it for myself, myself, and I wasn't even thinking of a partner. So I literally designed the shower to be like the smallest shower that could be made for the house. And showering with Boss sucks. Like at one point we had, and I don't have a tub because I don't like taking baths, and I didn't think I would need one because I really wasn't planning on having a kid that soon. Like I thought that I would have a kid in a tiny house, but I thought that by the time they were like toddler age, I'd probably be out. And so I had like one of those tote, like those Sterilite totes that I would put in the bathroom, and then I'd fill that up, and then she would take her little bath in there while I took a shower. It was very cramped and very uncomfortable, but I didn't want to like bend down to like bathe her separate from my shower. Plus, where the fuck am I gonna find time to take a shower if I didn't take one with her? No. So we used to do that for a while, but the problem with that is there's then no place to put, like, if I did want to take a shower by myself, there was no place to put the tote, because where am I going to put this big ass wet tote? And so we did that for a while. Okay, great, I did mess it up. And then she got tired of that. So then I tried, like, okay, you're a big girl, you're 2, why don't we both stand up in the shower and try that way? That was a mess. She did not like that either. And plus it's really cramped in there. So now she's back to bathing in the sink. That's why I always recommend, if you even think there could be an inkling of you having a kid in a tiny house, get double sinks. In fact, I don't give a fuck. Even if you're not going to have a kid in a tiny house, get double sinks. One to dry, one to wash. It's perfect. But get double sinks. So she bathes in the shower now. That's where I wash her hair too. Soon she's going to get a little bit too big for the shower, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's another thing to think about when going tiny with a toddler. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. I didn't really, like, so baby proofing wise, I think it's pretty much the same as like a traditional home. My cabinet sizes are like decent size. You could, find the appropriate things to baby proof. I'll use a scrunchie on one of my doors, like double doors, like a legit scrunchie. I just use that because that's where the garbage was. But yeah, that pretty much sums up tiny living with a child. I know it sounded like just one long rant, but that that's the reality of it. It's a messy lifestyle when you have a kid. And it takes a lot of creativity as well. Like, a lot of creativity. Like, toy storage and all that fun stuff. You gotta remember that shit. And then lastly, tiny house living with a kid. Always recommend going outside as often as you can. It does make your life a lot easier. At first, I hated going outside because I live in Florida and it's hot as balls. It is so hot out here. But eventually, I learned to like it, and it's not as boring as it used to be. It gets a lot of her energy out for like nap times and things like that. And then my house is a little cleaner. Not too much cleaner, but a little cleaner. So that is my reality of living tiny with a toddler. I will never, ever tell anybody that you can't live tiny with a family, because I do believe that you can. I don't for a second believe that kids really need that much space. Like, Boss never once complained about the tiny home and playing here. And she lives at both my house and her dad's house. He lives with his parents and they have like a normal size house. So she knows both and she's never had a problem. She don't give a fuck. She don't care. So if anybody ever tells you like, oh, well, kids need space, the devil, I don't even believe in the devil. It's a lie, okay? They don't need that much space. And if they did, that's what outside is for, quite literally. Unless you're living in, like, lava pits, your kid can go outside. So, living tiny with a toddler, living tiny with a kid is totally doable. I just think that you, or myself included, because I didn't have any expectations. I think that you have to set the expectation that everything will go fucking crazy, and give yourself grace. Like, be super graceful with yourself about it. Go with the flow. Just when shit hits the fan, start a dance party and scrub it off the roof. Like, that's it. Don't be too hard on yourself if your house isn't clean. Don't be too hard on yourself if your house smells like piss because you're potty training. Like, you think I give a fuck that when I was potty training my house smelled like piss? You think I gave a fuck? People don't gotta come here. They don't live here. Like, I wanted my kid out of diapers. So, yes, give yourself grace. There's no perfect way to do this. And if you're like the parent that's like, okay, I get it, but I want my kid to have all the toys, right? Do that too. You know how often Boss watches TV? Boss pretty much watches TV all day. Why? Because it keeps her entertained while she's playing. That had nothing to do with tiny house living with a kid. That kind of just went into like a parent thing, but whatever. So yeah, I don't think I can say any more about tiny living with kids. Oh, sleeping arrangements. I can go into that real quick because this video is getting a little bit long. I co-sleep. I've co-slept since Boss was a toddler. Full disclosure, I am getting my master's degree in anthropology. I have looked at the research with co-sleeping, so I don't need anybody in my comments talking about co-sleeping and the dangers and blah blah blah. So we co-sleep now. She's got a toddler bed that I bought her, which is super cute, and I'll have to show you all the setup. Does she sleep in it? No. So that's fun. Well, she'll fall asleep in my bed, and sometimes I'll like roll her over, and then she'll wake up in the middle of the night and crawl back into the bed with me. But that's what we're doing right now. I know I've seen people create like little bassinets to go near beds, and then like little toddler cribs to go near beds. I've seen that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna get that fancy. I don't need to get that fancy. Oh, well, fuck. So that's kind of the sleeping arrangement for that. And we'll probably, honestly, unless I can afford to build the house that I want, we'll probably be here for like another 3 years. So we've got a lot of fun ahead of us. Oh, and protection in a loft. So when I built my tiny house, my loft was kind of like open because I didn't think I was gonna have a kid, and so I ended up having her paternal grandfather built me this like amazingly beautiful like barrier thing for her. I know that some people I've seen online have done netting, vertical bars, and I'll promise there'll be like pictures or videos to go along with this, so like I'm making sense. But you can make a loft safe, is essentially what I'm saying, for kids. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much for being here for this tiny house talk. And if you've got any questions about tiny house living with kids, or any videos you want me to go over, do feel free to comment below or DM me on Instagram or comment on one of my Instagram posts. I'm always looking for ideas on videos to do, and I just love connecting with people, so connect with me. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and blessed be.